They're finding it no easy task to give up on their centuries-old tradition of secrecy. Hundreds of the Alpine hideouts are leaving until the last minute to decide whether to go along with a US ultimatum at midnight tonight to give up tax dodgers. Well, it's either that or face fines or even criminal prosecution from Washington. More now with Egon Vorfeld. He's managing partner at the Forum Finance Group SA, live in Geneva. Egon, why do you think some of these banks are leaving it to the last minute? Do you think there is a chance they may even defy Washington and not comply?
Well, first of all, Bill, I'm a partner at the Forum Finance Group, which is an independent asset manager, so we are not at all affected by this. It's clearly the banks that are affected by this, and we are therefore also picking this up from the newspapers and all the sort of emotional outbursts we're getting to this point in time. My understanding is that the deadline is really where the banks now have to let the regulator know what they are going to do, and that the Swiss authorities then have until the end of the year to let the US authorities know what banks have decided to do.
But what impact could this have on the financial industry there in Geneva, on the likes of you?
On us, it's going to have very little impact, if any at all, unless some of the banks we work with go under, which is extremely unlikely. I mean, they're all very sound, and I think most of the larger banks are already cooperating, and it's fairly clear which direction they're going in, and they already have done their numbers and know exactly what they're doing. Perhaps some of the smaller banks could be affected because the fines, the worst of them, could be very onerous on them. And that's what some people feel is extremely unfair, because the smaller banks are the least likely to been doing things that are perhaps not that broke some rules, and being the least likely, they are possibly the most to suffer if these fines indeed are going to be as high as some people are saying.
But why should Washington have a say in what banks do in Geneva?
Well, that is exactly the reaction of a lot of people. But the world works in these mysterious ways, and the US does have an awful lot of clout and is able to throw its weight around and feels justified to do so. But clearly, a lot of other people feel there is injustice in this supposed justice system, that a lot of the smaller banks will be possibly victims. And I think a lot of them, some of them, this is what we're reading in the papers anyhow, are not possibly going to comply because they don't feel it breaks they've broken any Swiss laws, and they're not.
But Egon, it's exactly. I mean, that's what they think. But of course, there are many saying that the banking industry in Switzerland has been synonymous and notorious for tax evasion and tax dodgers. So, in a way, it is right, is it not, that they should be clamped down on? Just briefly.
But that's something that we've been doing for many years here in Switzerland, and I would say that most the business here is tax compliant and has been going tax compliant for many years. And certainly with Europe, there's been very good arrangements to go that way, and without all these onerous fines, I might add, on the institutions. So I think the US has come to some sort of agreement with the Swiss authorities to also deal with the legacy issues from the past, and just that it seems that the smaller banks are going to be hurt a lot more than is justified.
Egon,
because for them it's virtually impossible, I think, to really go through the whole exercise and end up proving that they've done nothing wrong, but in the meantime have cost them millions of dollars.
Really interested to get your perspective on this, Egon. Thank you very much indeed. Egon Vorfeld, managing partner of the Forum Finance Group SA, there live in Geneva. Thank you.
You're welcome.